I'm fixated on the love aspect of this all. First, in the first session, I thought, well, yeah, in Buddhism you said there wasn't love. Later on there's metta, loving kindness. But it's so intense. It's really sort of an eye-opener to me and very intriguing, and that maybe in human development it's significant where this love that's so real begins to come in, begins to evolve after Buddha, with Christ. I'm just fascinated with that whole idea.
Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I'm questioning. I mean, it's sort of a revelation to me. I've always heard of the love of Jesus, and one of Jesus's messages, as I understand it, is love one another. What is this evolutionarily for humans? Is there an evolutionary aspect? Love?
Well, just to address that one point that was the last one, it seems to me that you have quite a bit to say about this in your discussion of the rational level of consciousness, and especially the centaur.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me we're in an evolutionary period in which this is possible because we've already reached, at least hopefully some people, have reached a mental egoic state of consciousness, which opens the door to all the higher states of consciousness. So once this has been attained and established, then everybody can climb the whole rest of the ladder on their own. But experience shows you need a sangha and
mm-hmm.
practices and so on. But the evolutionary process has already reached the point where this is possible. That was the point I was trying to make in coming to rational consciousness around 3000 BC,
Mm-hmm.
with the Zeus slaying the dragon.
Yes. Yeah. See,
I'm very
seems
fond
to
of
read
the
Up
book
from
Up
Eden.
from Eden.
Yeah. One of the first when I was first at the monastery in Snowmass and saw Up from Eden on the shelf, I thought, this is my kind of monastery. Yes. Evolution is a difficult topic because there's so many ways to misunderstand it. Really, there are just dozens and dozens of ways to get it all wrong. And only one or two ways to get it right, but those one or two ways are really, really, really important. And I think that there is a part of humanity's growth and development that is evolutionary, not in a Darwinian sense of survival of the fittest or anything like that at all, but just in terms of human beings learn. And our learning can go through phases of expanding competence and capacity. And whether we see it, if we look at individual ontogenetic development today, and we were talking about Carol Gilligan's work. Carol Gilligan, it's often misunderstood that in her book, A Different Voice, that she said that women are not involved in hierarchies and men are involved in hierarchies. And that's really not what she said. She said both men and women develop hierarchically through higher stages, but women don't tend to think hierarchically. They tend to think relationally. Men tend to think in terms of ranking or hierarchies. But both men's ranking and women's linking develop through ranked hierarchical stages. And the four stages, hierarchical stages that Carol Gilligan gave, she called selfish, care, universal care, and integrated. And a hierarchy here means higher, deeper, wider, more encompassing. We sometimes use the words for the four stages she gave: egocentric, ethnocentric, world-centric, and integrated. And that means this directly relates to what you're talking about. It's the circle to which you can extend love. And so at the selfish stage, you're just learning to separate your own individuality out from the whole, and so you really don't have a capacity to take the role of other. That often doesn't come into play until around age 5 or 6. But when that does happen, you can then recognize another, and you extend love from yourself to your family, your peer group, your tribe, your ethos, and hence ethnocentric. But you still can't, when one tribe would run up against another tribe, they had no way to interrelate. And so it takes another stage of evolving consciousness to realize what all tribes or all humans have in consciousness, and that's world-centric. And Carol Gilligan called that universal care, and this is based on her observation of female moral development. So those hierarchical, we call them nested hierarchy or even holarchy, because it's a much more accurate term. Holarchy means increasing wholes. So it's to say that human beings can go through those holarchical evolutionary unfoldings. It's not to say that all of development is that. It's not to say that human development itself is just sweetness and lightness going up and up and up. It's much more like the stock market. It's sort of, there's an eros to the cosmos. It's sort of increasing a little bit, and then, but every now and then it's like you hit the Great Depression. It's like, whoa, and then, kind of thing. There's all sorts of ups and downs, and that's just the general cultural, so to speak. Individuals can be higher or lower than any center of gravity in any culture at any given time. The center of gravity for this culture tends to be egoic rational, but the people in this room are way beyond that in terms of their own evolution. And a handful are still struggling to get up to it, but it's okay. So to even talk about development or evolution is not to have a notion of just clunk, clunk, clunk kind of stages. It's much more complex than that. And the final thing is that there are states of consciousness in addition to stages, and you can have a state experience at almost any stage. So you can be even somebody at a selfish stage of development can have a peak experience of gross, subtler causal states. So, but they can't hold it. It's temporary and it fades. So, but with all of those qualifications, I think that there's no question, but that there's at least an increase in the long haul of a capacity for love. And I think that is starting to happen on an increasingly worldwide scale. And it's just the capacity now. It's up to us to live up to that potential. It's almost in a sense that Spirit gives us that space, but then we have to co-mingle and be co-responsible for by living up to the love that is given to us through grace. But I think that agape is descending as a gentle rain in a larger and larger way. And I certainly hope that that's true. But I believe there's a lot of evidence for it. So, hence up from Eden.